Hello, and welcome to the Google Career Certificate focused on cybersecurity. I'm so excited that you're here. My name is Tony, and I am a Security Engineering Manager at Google. I'll be your instructor for the first course of this certificate program. By starting this course, you've already taken a big step towards building new skills that will help you in your career. Cybersecurity may seem daunting at first, but you'd be surprised by the different backgrounds many of us have. I worked as an intelligence analyst before I got my first job in the security industry, and I'm excited to be your instructor as you begin your journey into security. The demand for security professionals is growing at an incredible rate. By 2030, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics expects security roles to grow by more than 30%, which is higher than the average growth rate for other occupations. Global access to the internet is expanding. Every day, more people and organizations are adopting new digital technologies. Having a diverse community of security professionals with unique backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences is essential for protecting and serving different markets. Working in security has allowed me to work with people from all around the world. Working with people who have diverse backgrounds ensures that our teams get to ask lots of questions and come up with more creative solutions. The main objective in security is to protect organizations and people. This line of work allows you to support and interact with people across the globe. There are many openings for entry-level security analysts, and employers are struggling to find enough candidates with the right expertise. This program is designed to give you the knowledge and skills you need to start or advance in the security profession. No matter your current skill level, by the time you finish this certificate program, you'll be prepared to find a security-related job or expand your career in security. You may be wondering, what do security professionals actually do? Have you ever had to update your password online to include a number or a special symbol? If so, then you're already familiar with basic security measures like password management. And if you've ever received a notification from a service provider about stolen data or a software hack, then you have firsthand experience with the impact of a security breach. If you've ever asked yourself how organizations safeguard data, then you already have two important traits that are necessary to thrive in this industry: curiosity and excitement. Security analysts help minimize risks to organizations and people. Analysts work to proactively guard against incidents while continuously monitoring systems and networks. And if an incident does occur, they investigate and report their findings. They are always asking questions and looking for solutions. One of the best things about the security industry is the many paths and career options it exposes you to. Each option involves a unique set of skills and responsibilities. No matter what your background is, you'll probably find that you already have some relevant experience. If you enjoy collaborating with and helping others, solving puzzles, and are motivated by challenges, then this is the career for you. For example, my background as an intelligence analyst had nothing to do with cybersecurity. However, having strong critical thinking skills and communication skills provided a solid foundation for my success when I decided to pursue a career in security. If you're not sure what direction you want to take in the security industry, that's okay. This program will give you an overview of many different types of available jobs. It will also let you explore certain specialized skill sets to help you figure out where you want to take your career. The Google Career Certificates are designed by industry professionals with decades of experience here at Google. You'll have a different expert from Google guide you through each course in the certificate. We'll share our knowledge in videos, provide practice opportunities with hands-on activities, and take you through real scenarios that you might encounter on the job. Throughout this program, you'll gain hands-on practice with detecting and responding to attacks, monitoring and protecting networks, investigating incidents, and writing code to automate tasks. The program is made up of several courses that are designed to help you land an entry-level job. You'll learn about topics like core security concepts, security domains, network security, computing basics, including Linux and SQL, along with understanding assets, threats, and vulnerabilities. Our goal is to help you reach your goal of joining the security industry. You'll learn about incident detection and response, as well as how to use programming languages like Python to accomplish common security tasks. You'll also gain valuable job search strategies that will benefit you as you begin to find and apply for jobs in the security profession. Completing this Google Career Certificate will help you develop skills and learn how to use tools to prepare you for a job in a fast-growing, high-demand field. The certificate is designed to prepare you for a job in 3 to 6 months if you work on the certificate part-time. And once you graduate, you can connect with over 200 employers who are interested in hiring Google Career Certificate graduates like you. Whether you're looking to switch jobs, start a new career, or level up your skills, this Google Career Certificate can open doors to new job opportunities. You don't need prior experience or knowledge in the security field because this certificate program will begin with the basics. I'll be by your side throughout this first course, making sure that you're learning the foundational knowledge needed to succeed in the field. This program is also flexible. You can complete all of the courses in this certificate on your own terms and at your own pace, online. We've gathered some amazing instructors to support you on your journey, and they'd like to introduce themselves now.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm a customer engineering enablement lead for security operations sales at Google. I'll take you through security domains, frameworks and controls, as well as common security threats, risks, and vulnerabilities. You'll also be introduced to common tools used by security analysts. I can't wait to get started.
Hi there. My name is Chris, and I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Google Fiber. I'm excited to talk to you about the structure of a network, network protocols, common network attacks, and how to secure a network.
Hi there, my name is Kim, and I'm a technical program manager at Google. I will guide you through foundational computing skills that support the work of a security analyst. We'll also learn about operating systems, the Linux command line, and SQL.
Hi, my name is Sequisha, and I'm a security engineer at Google. Together we'll explore protecting organizational assets through a variety of security controls and develop a deeper understanding of risks and vulnerabilities.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I'm a principal security strategist at Google. In our time together, we'll learn about detecting and responding to security incidents. You'll also have the chance to monitor and analyze network activity using powerful security tools.
Hello, I'm Angel, and I'm a security engineer at Google. We'll explore foundational Python programming concepts to help you automate common security tasks.
Hello, I'm Dion. I'm a program manager at Google. I'm your instructor for the first portion of the final course of the program. There, we'll discuss how to escalate incidents and communicate with stakeholders.
And my name is Emily. I'm a program manager at Google. I'll guide you through the final portion of the program and share ways that you can engage with the security community and prepare for your upcoming job search.
And as you already know, I'll guide you through the first course of this program. This is such a great time to grow your career in the field of security. Sound exciting? Let's get started. Hi again. Now that you have some idea of what to expect from the program as a whole, let's discuss more about what you'll learn in this course. This course will introduce you to the world of security and how it's used to protect business operations, users, and devices, so you can contribute to the creation of a safer internet for all. In this section, we'll cover foundational security concepts. First, we'll define security. Then, we'll explore common job responsibilities of security analysts. Building on that, we'll cover core skills a security analyst may have. Finally, we'll discuss the value of security for protecting organizations and people. Later on, we'll cover 8 security domains. Then, we'll cover common security frameworks and controls. Finally, We'll wrap up the course by discussing common tools and programming languages that entry-level security analysts may use. Coming up, we'll go over some resources that will allow you to get the most out of this program. I'm really excited for you to start this journey. Let's begin.
Hi there, I'm Amanda from Grow with Google. We're the team behind the Google Career Certificates, and we're thrilled you've decided to pursue yours in cybersecurity. Experts here at Google created this program to help you develop skills that prepare you for jobs. Once you complete your certificate, you'll join a community of over 1 million graduates who are launching their new careers. And you'll instantly unlock resources to help you launch yours. This includes an industry-recognized credential from Google that can be added to your resume and your professional profiles, like LinkedIn. Additionally, you'll receive a discount to take CompTIA's Security Plus certification, which further demonstrates your cybersecurity skills and helps you stand out to employers. We're also here to support you along the way as you navigate your job search. We know there's a lot involved in finding a new job. So included at the end of the certificate program, you'll find a course that shows you specific ways to use AI to streamline your search. You'll identify your transferable skills, update your resume for different roles, and practice interviewing, all with the help of AI. Plus, for learners in the United States, you can sign up for one-on-one career coaching and access thousands of job postings through Career Circle at no cost to you. These valuable resources are exclusively for Google Career Certificate graduates. Starting strong is the best way to ensure you complete the program and can access these resources. Here are a few of our top tips to get you to the finish line. First, stay on top of the deadlines, especially in these early weeks. Learners who do this are almost twice as likely to finish their certificate. Second, jump into the learner community right away. This is a great place to get advice and connect with other learners like you. Having this community as a resource to turn to if you get stuck significantly boosts your chances of success. And finally, don't get discouraged if you face challenges. It happens. Remember what brought you here, take advantage of the support available to you, and know that with persistence, you've got this. For the latest from Google on career advice, ideas for how to use AI, and notifications about new courses, subscribe to our newsletter at grow.google/updates. We wish you the very best as you embark on this exciting journey, and we look forward to supporting you as you earn your Google Career Certificate.
Imagine that you're preparing for a storm. You've received notification that a storm is coming. You prepare by gathering the tools and materials you'll need to stay safe. You make sure your windows and doors are secure. You assemble a first aid kit, tools, food, and water. You're prepared. The storm hits, and there are powerful winds and heavy rain. The storm is using its force to try and breach your home. You notice some water leaks and begin patching them quickly in order to minimize any risk or potential damage. Handling a security incident is no different. Organizations must prepare for the storm by ensuring they have the tools to mitigate and quickly respond to outside threats. The objective is to minimize risk and potential damage. As a security analyst, you'll work to protect your organization and the people it serves from a variety of risks and outside threats. And if a threat does get through, you and your team will provide a solution to remedy the situation. To help you better understand what this means, we'll define security and discuss the roles of security professionals in organizations. Let's start with some definitions. Cybersecurity, or security, is the practice of ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information by protecting networks, devices, people, and data from unauthorized access or criminal exploitation. For example, requiring complex passwords to access sites and services improves confidentiality by making it much more difficult for a threat actor to compromise them. A threat actor is any person or group who presents a security risk. Now that you know the definition of security, let's discuss what security teams do for an organization. Security protects against external and internal threats. An external threat is someone outside of the organization trying to gain access to private information, networks, or devices. An internal threat comes from current or former employees, external vendors, or trusted partners. Often, these internal threats are accidental, such as an employee clicking on a compromised link in an email. Other times, the internal actor intentionally engages in activities such as unauthorized data access or abusing systems for personal use. Experienced security professionals will help organizations mitigate or reduce the impact of threats like these. Security teams also ensure an organization meets regulatory compliance, or laws and guidelines, that require the implementation of specific security standards. Ensuring that organizations are in compliance may allow them to avoid fines and audits, while also upholding their ethical obligation to protect users. Security teams also maintain and improve business productivity. By establishing a plan for business continuity, security teams allow people to do their jobs, even in the case of something like a data breach. Being security conscious can also reduce expenses associated with risk, such as recovering from data loss or operational downtime, and potentially avoiding fines. The last benefit of security that we'll discuss is maintaining brand trust. If services or customer data are compromised, this can lower trust in the organization, damage the brand, and hurt the business in the long term. Loss of customer trust may also lead to less revenue for the business. Now, let's go over some common security-based roles. After completing this certificate program, here are some job titles you may want to search for: Security Analyst or Specialist, Cybersecurity Analyst or Specialist, Security Operations Center or SOC Analyst, and Information Security Analyst. You'll also learn more about the responsibilities associated with some of these job titles later in the program. As you may now realize, the field of security includes many topics and concepts. And every activity you complete in this program moves you one step closer to a new job. Let's keep learning together. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm a security engineering manager. Our teams protect Google and its users from serious threats, usually government-backed attackers, coordinated influence operations, and serious cybercrime threat actors. I grew up as an Army brat. My dad was in the military and we moved around a lot. So I've always had an interest in security sort of generally. I got really hooked on international relations when I was in high school. I did a lot of Model United Nations, and that really sort of brought these two things together for me, the way that security works in the world. I come from a big family. I knew I was going to need financial assistance to go to college. And the Department of Defense provides a lot of educational opportunities that are tied to service. So this was a natural fit for me. I knew I was interested in this area, and this was going to provide a career path into something I was passionate about. I started as an intelligence analyst, but not focused on cybersecurity. I worked counterinsurgency for a number of years and sort of geopolitical intelligence issues. Eventually, as I looked and saw that the way that cybersecurity was starting to have an impact, both in our daily lives and in that world of international relations, I got more and more drawn to it. Transitioning into cybersecurity was a huge shift for me. I came in without a solid technical background, had to learn a lot of that on the job and through self-paced learning in different types of courses. I needed to learn programming languages like Python and SQL, two of the things that we cover in this certificate. I needed to learn a whole new language about the vocabulary of threats and the different components and how those manifest technically. One of the things that I had to figure out very early in this journey is what kind of learner I was. I work best with a structured learning style, so turning to a lot of these online courses and resources that took this material and structured it sort of from first principles through application resonated very well for me. A lot of this was also learned on the job by coworkers who were willing to share and invest time in helping me understand this. I asked a lot of questions, and I still do. Most of cybersecurity work is going to be learned on the job in the specific environment that you're protecting. So you have to work well with your teammates in order to be able to build that knowledge base. My advice would be to stay curious and keep learning, especially focusing on your technical skills and growing those throughout your career. It's really easy to get imposter syndrome in cybersecurity because it's so broad, and mastery of all these different areas is a lifetime's work. And sometimes that imposter syndrome can shut us down and make it feel like, why bother trying to keep growing? I'm never going to be able to master this, instead of motivating us. So keep learning, push through that fear. The effort's always going to be rewarded. Technology is rapidly changing, and so are the tactics and techniques that attackers use. As digital infrastructure evolves, security professionals are expected to continually grow their skills in order to protect and secure sensitive information. In this video, we'll discuss some job responsibilities of an entry-level security analyst. So, what do security analysts do? Security analysts are responsible for monitoring and protecting information and systems. Now, we'll discuss 3 primary responsibilities of a security analyst, starting with protecting computer and network systems. Protecting computer and network systems requires an analyst to monitor an organization's internal network. If a threat is detected, then an analyst is generally the first to respond. Analysts also often take part in exercises to search for weaknesses in an organization's own systems. For example, a security analyst may contribute to penetration testing or ethical hacking. The goal is to penetrate or hack their own organization's internal network to identify vulnerabilities and suggest ways to strengthen their security measures. Think of it like this. After you lock your car, you check the door handles to make sure no one can access any valuables you keep inside. Security analysts also proactively work to prevent threats from happening in the first place. One way they do this is by working with information technology, or IT, teams to install prevention software for the purposes of identifying risks and vulnerabilities. Analysts may also be involved in software and hardware development. They'll often work with development teams to support product security by setting up appropriate processes and systems to meet the organization's data protection needs. The last task we'll discuss is conducting periodic security audits. A security audit is a review of an organization's security records, activities, and other related documents. For example, an analyst may examine in-house security issues such as making sure that confidential information, like individual computer passwords, isn't available to all employees. Phew, that was a lot to cover. But hopefully you have a general idea of what entry-level security analysts do on a day-to-day basis. Security analysts are an important part of any organization. Their daily tasks protect small businesses, large companies, nonprofit organizations, and government agencies. They also help to ensure that the people served by those organizations remain safe.
My name is Nikki, and I'm a security engineer at Google. I am part of the insider threat detection team at Google, so my role is more focused on catching insider threats or insider suspicious activity within the company. My first experience with cybersecurity was when I was interning at the aquarium. I learned a lot of network security there. They had a lot of phishing attempts, of course, at the aquarium. My manager was really focused on making sure that our networks were secure, and I learned a lot from him, and that really sparked my interest in cybersecurity. The main reason I chose to pursue a career in cybersecurity is just how flexible the career path is. Once you're in security, there's so many different fields you can dive into, whether it's through the blue team, protecting the user, or the red team, which is just, poking holes in other people's defenses and letting them know where they're going wrong. A day in the life as an entry-level security professional, it can change day to day, but there's 2 basic parts to it. There's the operations side, which is responding to detections and doing investigations. And then there's the project side, where you're working with other teams to build new detections or improve the current detections. The difference between an entry-level cybersecurity analyst and an entry-level cybersecurity engineer is pretty much that the analyst is more focused on operations, and the engineer, while they can do operations, they also build the detections, and they do more project-focused work. My favorite task is probably the operations side, doing investigations, because we can sometimes get something like, this actor did such and such on this day. And we're supposed to then dive into what they've been doing, what they've been working on, to figure out if there's any suspicious activity or if it was just a false positive. One of the biggest ways I've made an impact as an entry-level cybersecurity professional is actually working on the playbooks that our team uses. A playbook is a list of how to go through a certain detection and what the analyst needs to look at in order to investigate those incidents. I was really proud of those playbooks that I've made so far because a lot of my teammates have even said how helpful they've been to them. If you love solving problems, if you love protecting user data, being at the front lines of a lot of headlines, then this is definitely the role for you.
For any job, you need certain skills to be successful, and many of these core skills are transferable from one role to the next. No matter what job you currently have, you likely have many core skills already. Having a diverse background enhances your core skills, which means your personal experiences and perspectives are especially valuable. In this video, we'll discuss both transferable and technical skills that are particularly useful for a security analyst. Transferable skills are skills from other areas that can apply to different careers. Technical skills may apply to several professions as well. However, at times they may require knowledge of specific tools, procedures, and policies. Let's discuss some core transferable skills you may already have that will benefit you in a career as a security analyst. Communication is a transferable skill for a security analyst. They will often need to describe certain threats, risks, or vulnerabilities to people who may not have a technical background. For example, security analysts may be tasked with interpreting and communicating policies and procedures to other employees. Or analysts may be asked to report findings to their supervisors so the appropriate actions can be taken to secure the organization. Another transferable skill is collaboration. Security analysts often work in teams with engineers, digital forensic investigators, and program managers. For example, if you are working to roll out a new security feature, you will likely have a project manager, an engineer, and an ethical hacker on your team. Security analysts also need to be able to analyze complex scenarios that they may encounter. For example, a security analyst may need to make recommendations about how different tools can support efficiency and safeguard an organization's internal network. The last transferable skill that we'll discuss is problem solving. Identifying a security problem and then diagnosing it and providing solutions is a necessary skill to keep business operations safe. Understanding threat actors and identifying trends can provide insight on how to handle future threats. Okay. Now that we've covered some important transferable skills, let's discuss some technical skills that security analysts need to develop. A basic understanding of programming languages is an important skill to develop because security analysts can use programming to automate tasks and identify error messages. Like learning any other language, learning a programming language may seem challenging at first. However, this certificate program assumes no prior programming experience, so we'll start at the very beginning and provide several opportunities for hands-on practice with languages like Python and SQL. Another important technical skill is knowing how to use Security Information and Event Management, or SIM, tools. Security professionals use SIM tools to identify and analyze security threats, risks, and vulnerabilities. For example, a SIM tool may alert you that an unknown user has accessed the system. In the event of an unknown user accessing the system, you may use computer forensics to investigate the incident. Now, let's discuss computer forensics. Similar to an investigator and a forensic scientist working in the criminal justice system, digital forensic investigators will attempt to identify, analyze, and preserve criminal evidence within networks, computers, and electronic devices. Keep in mind that you may already have some of the core skills we've discussed. And if you don't have the technical skills, that's okay. This program is designed to support you in learning those skills. For example, over the past 7 years working in cybersecurity, I've learned that security analysts need to have intellectual curiosity and the motivation to keep learning in order to succeed. Personally, I dedicate time on a regular basis towards learning more Python and SQL skills in order to meet the demands of the projects I'm working on. You'll get to learn about Python and SQL later in this program. As you continue this journey, you'll build the knowledge and skills you need to enter the security field.
Hi, I'm Veronica, and I'm a security engineer at Google. My journey into cybersecurity has changed my life for the better in so many ways. The most important part is fulfilling work. I get to do something that I absolutely love and that I'm super interested in, and I feel very lucky that this is what I get to do for work. Before I entered my current field, I had no idea what cybersecurity was. My knowledge of cybersecurity was using secure passwords, and that was about it. So if you asked me, would I be in cybersecurity 5 years ago, I would have said, what is that? Someone without a technical background can 100% be successful in cybersecurity. My path to my current role in cybersecurity started as an IT resident here at Google, staffing tech staff. I learned a lot of analytical thinking skills working at a help desk, troubleshooting, debugging. I didn't realize I had transferable skills until I got into my role in cybersecurity. And from there, I took it upon myself to bug a bunch of security engineers, interviewed a lot of them. I didn't get here alone. It took a village of mentors to get me here, so don't be afraid to ask for help. I don't think someone needs a college degree to go into cybersecurity. Some of the brightest minds that I get to work with don't have a college degree, so I think that's one of the best parts about the industry. Looking back at my career, I wish I would have known that I don't have to check all the boxes, that I don't have to be an expert in the area to shoot my shot. And I also wish I would have known that perfectionism can get in the way of what you want to achieve.
As we've discussed, security professionals protect many physical and digital assets. These skills are desired by organizations and government entities because risk needs to be managed. Let's continue to discuss why security matters. Security is essential for ensuring an organization's business continuity and ethical standing. There are both legal implications and moral considerations to maintaining an organization's security. A data breach, for example, affects everyone that is associated with the organization. This is because data losses or leaks can affect an organization's reputation, as well as the lives and reputations of their users, clients, and customers. By maintaining strong security measures, organizations can increase user trust. This may lead to financial growth and ongoing business referrals. As previously mentioned, organizations are not the only ones that suffer during a data breach. Maintaining and securing user, customer, and vendor data is an important part of preventing incidents that may expose people's personally identifiable information. Personally identifiable information, known as PII, is any information used to infer an individual's identity. PII includes someone's full name, date of birth, physical address, phone number, email address, Internet Protocol or IP address, and similar information. Sensitive personally identifiable information, known as SPII, is a specific type of PII that falls under stricter handling guidelines and may include social security numbers, medical or financial information, and biometric data such as facial recognition. If SPII is stolen, this has the potential to be significantly more damaging to an individual than if PII is stolen. PII and SPII data are key assets that a threat actor will look for if an organization experiences a breach. When a person's identifiable information is compromised, leaked, or stolen, identity theft is the primary concern. Identity theft is the act of stealing personal information to commit fraud while impersonating a victim. And the primary objective of identity theft is financial gain. We've explored several reasons why security matters. Employers need security analysts like you to fill the current and future demand to protect data, products, and people, while ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and safe access to information. This is why the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics expects the demand for security professionals to grow by more than 30% by the year 2030. So keep learning, and eventually you'll be able to do your part to create a safer and more secure environment for organizations and people alike. Congratulations on completing the first section of this course. Let's quickly review what we've covered so far before moving on. We defined security and introduced the benefits of implementing security in an organization. Then, we discussed different job responsibilities, such as managing threats and installing prevention software. We also introduced some important core skills like collaboration and computer forensics. We finished by discussing the value of security and how it supports critical business functions. I hope you've gained a greater understanding of security. If you feel like you need a refresher before moving on, you can always go back and review any content you're unsure about. By learning the basics, you are laying the foundation for the rest of your security career. Coming up, we'll explore some well-known attacks that shape the security industry. I'm excited to continue this journey with you. Welcome back. When it comes to security, there is so much to learn, and I'm thrilled to be part of your career journey. This is such an exciting time to be learning about security. When I learned about international hacks that impacted both private companies and government organizations, I was inspired to want to work in security because I realized how dynamic and important this field is. One reason there are so many jobs in the security field today is because of attacks that happened in the 1980s and 1990s. Decades later, security professionals are still actively working to protect organizations and people from variations of these early computer attacks. In this section of the course, we'll discuss viruses and malware and introduce the concept of social engineering. Then, we'll discuss how the digital age ushered in a new era of threat actors. Knowing the evolution of each attack is key to protecting against future attacks. Lastly, we'll provide an overview of 8 security domains. Next up, we'll travel back in time to explore some of the viruses, data breaches, and malware attacks that have helped shape the industry as we know it today. The security industry is constantly evolving, but many present-day attacks are not entirely new. Attackers often alter or enhance previous methods. Understanding past attacks can provide direction for how to handle or investigate incidents in your job as a security analyst. First, let's go over a couple of key terms that will support your understanding of the attacks we'll discuss. A computer virus is malicious code written to interfere with computer operations and cause damage to data and software. The virus attaches itself to programs or documents on a computer, then spreads and infects one or more computers in a network. Today, viruses are more commonly referred to as malware, which is software designed to harm devices or networks. 2 examples of early malware attacks that we'll cover are the brain virus and the Morris worm. They were created by malware developers to accomplish specific tasks. However, the developers underestimated the impact their malware would have and the amount of infected computers there would be. Let's take a closer look at these attacks and discuss how they helped shape security as we know it today. In 1986, the Alvey brothers created the brain virus. Although the intention of the virus was to track illegal copies of medical software and prevent pirated licenses, what the virus actually did was unexpected. Once a person used a pirated copy of the software, the virus infected that computer. Then, any disk that was inserted into the computer was also infected. The virus spread to a new computer every time someone used one of the infected disks. Undetected, the virus spread globally within a couple of months. Although the intention was not to destroy data or hardware, the virus slowed down productivity and significantly impacted business operations. The brain virus fundamentally altered the computing industry, emphasizing the need for a plan to maintain security and productivity. As a security analyst, you will follow and maintain strategies put in place to ensure your organization has a plan to keep their data and people safe. Another influential computer attack was the Morris worm. In 1988, Robert Morris developed a program to assess the size of the internet. The program crawled the web and installed itself onto other computers to tally the number of computers that were connected to the internet. Sounds simple, right? The program, however, failed to keep track of the computers it had already compromised and continued to reinstall itself until the computers ran out of memory and crashed. About 6,000 computers were affected, representing 10% of the internet at the time. This attack cost millions of dollars in damages due to business disruptions and the efforts required to remove the worm. After the Morris worm, computer emergency response teams, known as CERTs, were established to respond to computer security incidents. CERTs still exist today, but their place in the security industry has expanded to include more responsibilities. Later in this program, you'll learn more about the core functions of these security teams and gain hands-on practice with detection and response tools. Early attacks played a key role in shaping the current security industry. And coming up, we'll discuss how attacks evolved in the digital age. With the expansion of reliable, high-speed internet, the number of computers connected to the internet increased dramatically. Because malware could spread through the internet, threat actors no longer needed to use physical disks to spread viruses. To better understand attacks in the digital age, we'll discuss two notable attacks that relied on the internet: the love letter attack and the Equifax breach. In the year 2000, Onel de Guzman created the love letter malware to steal internet login credentials. This attack spread rapidly and took advantage of people who had not developed a healthy suspicion for unsolicited emails. Users received an email with the subject line, "I love you." Each email contained an attachment labeled, "Love letter for you." When the attachment was opened, the malware scanned a user's address book. Then, it automatically sent itself to each person on the list and installed a program to collect user information and passwords. Recipients would think they were receiving an email from a friend, but it was actually malware. The love letter ended up infecting 45 million computers globally and is believed to have caused over $10 billion in damages. The love letter attack is the first example of social engineering. Social engineering is a manipulation technique that exploits human error to gain private information, access, or valuables. After the love letter, attackers understood the power of social engineering. The number of social engineering attacks is increasing with every new social media application that allows public access to people's data. Many people are now prioritizing convenience over privacy. The trade-off of this evolving shift is that these tools may lead to increased vulnerability if people do not use them appropriately. As a security professional, your role is to identify and manage inappropriate use of technology that may place your organization and all the people associated with it at risk. One way to safeguard your organization is to conduct regular internal trainings, which you as a future security analyst may be asked to lead or participate in. Today, it's common for employees to receive training on how to identify social engineering attacks. Specifically, phishing through the emails they receive. Phishing is the use of digital communications to trick people into revealing sensitive data or deploying malicious software. Now let's discuss the Equifax breach. In 2017, attackers successfully infiltrated the credit reporting agency, Equifax. This resulted in one of the largest known data breaches of sensitive information. Over 143 million customer records were stolen, and the breach affected approximately 40% of all Americans. The records included personally identifiable information, including social security numbers, birth dates, driver's license numbers, home addresses, and credit card numbers. From a security standpoint, the breach occurred due to multiple failures on Equifax's part. It wasn't just one vulnerability that the attackers took advantage of. There were several. The company failed to take the actions needed to fix multiple known vulnerabilities in the months leading up to the data breach. In the end, Equifax settled with the US government and paid over $575 million to resolve customer complaints and cover required fines. While there have been other data breaches before and after the Equifax breach, the large settlement with the US government alerted companies to the financial impact of a breach and the need to implement preventative measures. These are just a couple of well-known incidents that have shaped the security industry. Knowing about them will help you in your security career. Understanding different types of malware and social engineering attacks will allow you to communicate about security risks during future job interviews. As a future security professional, constantly adapting and educating yourself on threat actors' tactics and techniques will be a part of your job. By noticing similar trends, patterns, and methodologies, you may be able to identify a potential breach and limit future damage. Finally, understanding how security affects people's lives is a good reminder of why the work you will do is so important.
Hi, my name is Sean. I am a technical program manager in Google Workspace. I am a 30-year security veteran within the security space across 6 different industries. During your first data breach, the most important thing that you can do is keep your cool. Everyone around is going to be freaking out. If you are on the security team and you are managing the incident, you have to legitimately be the cool guy in the room. Be that person that has the pause in the conversation. Somebody might be like, do you know what's going on? I absolutely do. I think the biggest breach I've ever had was a phone call. An engineer for another financial bought a server off eBay. That server fired it up, hadn't been wiped. 20 million credit cards records were on it. It triggered a whole review of we had not been controlling for how do third parties, because we were now outsourcing data centers, how do third parties wipe the servers that we no longer use? The first thing you're going to do is to contain the breach. If you are still hemorrhaging data, you go through your progressions to stop hemorrhaging data. So if that means shutting down a server, shutting down a data center, shutting down comms, whatever stopping the data loss is, that is your number one priority. Your job as an incident manager or as somebody working a breach is to stop the breach and then investigate the breach. So executing your incident management buy plan is the most important thing that an entry-level person can keep in mind.
As the tactics of threat actors evolve, so do the roles of security professionals. Having a solid understanding of core security concepts will support your growth in this field. One way to better understand these core concepts is by organizing them into categories called security domains. As of 2022, CISSP has defined 8 domains to organize the work of security professionals. It's important to understand that these domains are related and that gaps in one domain can result in negative consequences to an entire organization. It's also important to understand the domains because it may help you better understand your career goals and your role within an organization. As you learn more about the elements of each domain, the work involved in one may appeal to you more than the others. This domain may become a career path for you to explore further. CISSP defines 8 domains in total, and we'll discuss all 8 between this video and the next. In this video, we're going to cover the first 4: security and risk management, asset security, security architecture and engineering, and communication and network security. Let's start with the first domain, security and risk management. Security and risk management focuses on defining security goals and objectives, risk mitigation, compliance, business continuity, and the law. For example, security analysts may need to update company policies related to private health information if a change is made to a federal compliance regulation, such as the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. The second domain is asset security. This domain focuses on securing digital and physical assets. It's also related to the storage, maintenance, retention, and destruction of data. When working with this domain, security analysts may be tasked with making sure that old equipment is properly disposed of and destroyed, including any type of confidential information. The third domain is security architecture and engineering. This domain focuses on optimizing data security by ensuring effective tools, systems, and processes are in place. As a security analyst, you may be tasked with configuring a firewall. A firewall is a device used to monitor and filter incoming and outgoing computer network traffic. Setting up a firewall correctly helps prevent attacks that could affect productivity. The fourth security domain is communication and network security. This domain focuses on managing and securing physical networks and wireless communications. As a security analyst, you may be asked to analyze user behavior within your organization. Imagine discovering that users are connecting to unsecured wireless hotspots. This could leave the organization and its employees vulnerable to attacks. To ensure communications are secure, you would create a network policy to prevent and mitigate exposure. Maintaining an organization's security is a team effort, and there are many moving parts. As an entry-level analyst, you will continue to develop your skills by learning how to mitigate risks to keep people and data safe. You don't need to be an expert in all domains, but having a basic understanding of them will aid you in your journey as a security professional. You're doing great. We have just introduced the first 4 security domains, and in the next video, we'll discuss 4 more. See you soon. Welcome back. In the last video, we introduced you to the first 4 security domains. In this video, we'll introduce you to the next 4 security domains: identity and access management, security assessment and testing, security operations, and software development security. Familiarizing yourself with these domains will allow you to navigate the complex world of security. The domains outline and organize how a team of security professionals work together. Depending on the organization, analyst roles may sit at the intersection of multiple domains or focus on one specific domain. Knowing where a particular role fits within the security landscape will help you prepare for job interviews and work as part of a full security team. Let's move into the 5th domain, identity and access management. Identity and access management focuses on keeping data secure by ensuring users follow established policies to control and manage physical assets, like office spaces, and logical assets, such as networks and applications. Validating the identities of employees and documenting access roles are essential to maintaining the organization's physical and digital security. For example, as a security analyst, you may be tasked with setting up employees' keycard access to buildings. The 6th domain is security assessment and testing. This domain focuses on conducting security control testing, collecting and analyzing data, and conducting security audits to monitor for risks, threats, and vulnerabilities. Security analysts may conduct regular audits of user permissions to make sure that users have the correct level of access. For example, access to payroll information is often limited to certain employees, so analysts may be asked to regularly audit permissions to ensure that no unauthorized person can view employees' salaries. The 7th domain is security operations. This domain focuses on conducting investigations and implementing preventative measures. Imagine that you, as a security analyst, receive an alert that an unknown device has been connected to your internal network. You would need to follow the organization's policies and procedures to quickly stop the potential threat. The final, 8th domain is software development security. This domain focuses on using secure coding practices, which are a set of recommended guidelines that are used to create secure applications and services. A security analyst may work with software development teams to ensure security practices are incorporated into the software development lifecycle. If, for example, one of your partner teams is creating a new mobile app, then you may be asked to advise on the password policies or ensure that any user data is properly secured and managed. That ends our introduction to CISSP's 8 security domains. Challenge yourself to better understand each of these domains and how they affect the overall security of an organization. While they may still be a bit unclear to you this early in the program, these domains will be discussed in greater detail in the next course. See you there! This concludes our brief introduction to some of the most influential security attacks throughout history and CISSP's 8 security domains. Let's review what we've discussed. First, we covered viruses, including the brain virus and the Morris worm, and discussed how these early forms of malware shaped the security industry. We also discussed how many attacks today are variants of these early examples. Understanding previous attacks is critical for security professionals who are working to protect organizations and people from possible future variants. We also discussed social engineering and threat actor motives by learning about the love letter attack and the Equifax data breach. These incidents showed the widespread impacts and associated costs of more recent security breaches in the digital age. Finally, we introduced CISSP's 8 security domains and how they can be used to categorize different areas of focus within the security profession. I hope you are feeling confident about your foundational security knowledge. Learning the history of security can allow you to better understand the current industry. CISSP's 8 security domains provide a way to organize the work of security professionals. Remember, every security professional is essential. Your unique point of view, professional background, and knowledge are valuable. So the diversity you bring to the field will further improve the security industry as you work to keep organizations and people safe. Hi there. Glad to have you back. You're halfway done with the first course, so you're making great progress. In this section, we'll discuss how organizations protect themselves from threats, risks, and vulnerabilities by covering key principles such as frameworks, controls, and ethics. To help you better understand how this relates to the role of a security analyst, we'll use an analogy. Imagine you want to plant a garden. You research, plan, prepare, and purchase materials while considering all the things that could potentially present a risk to your garden. You establish a plan to pull weeds, spray for bugs, and water your plants regularly to prevent issues or incidents. But as the days go by, unexpected problems arise. The weather has been unpredictable, and pests have been aggressively trying to infiltrate your garden. You start implementing better ways to safeguard your garden by installing a surveillance camera, building a fence, and covering your plants with a canopy to keep your garden healthy and growing. Now that you have a better idea about the threats to your garden and how to keep your plants safe, you establish better policies and procedures to continuously monitor and safeguard your garden. In this way, security resembles a garden. It's an evolving industry that will challenge you to make continuous improvements to policies and procedures that help protect your organization and the people it serves. To that end, we'll introduce security frameworks and controls and explain why they're important. We'll also cover core components and specific examples of frameworks and controls, including the confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad, or CIA triad. We'll end with a discussion about the ethics of security and share a few notable ethical concerns in the security field. Evolving security practices may seem a little abstract, but many of us use them every day. For example, I use security keys, which are a type of security control, as a second form of authentication to access my accounts. The keys ensure that only I can access my accounts, even if a password has been compromised. By improving confidentiality, they also assure me that the integrity of my accounts is intact. Having processes and procedures in place to organize security efforts and make informed decisions is important for any organization. I'm so excited to get started, and I hope you are too. Imagine you're working as a security analyst and receive multiple alerts about suspicious activity on the network. You realize that you'll need to implement additional security measures to keep these alerts from becoming serious incidents. But where do you start? As an analyst, you'll start by identifying your organization's critical assets and risks. Then, you'll implement the necessary frameworks and controls. In this video, we'll discuss how security professionals use frameworks to continuously identify and manage risk. We'll also cover how to use security controls to manage or reduce specific risks. Security frameworks are guidelines used for building plans to help mitigate risk and threats to data and privacy. Security frameworks provide a structured approach to implementing a security lifecycle. The security lifecycle is a constantly evolving set of policies and standards that define how an organization manages risks, follows established guidelines, and meets regulatory compliance, or laws. There are several security frameworks that may be used to manage different types of organizational and regulatory compliance risks. The purpose of security frameworks include protecting personally identifiable information, known as PII, securing financial information, identifying security weaknesses, managing organizational risks, and aligning security with business goals. Frameworks have 4 core components, and understanding them will allow you to better manage potential risks. The first core component is identifying and documenting security goals. For example, an organization may have a goal to align with the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, also known as GDPR. GDPR is a data protection law established to grant European citizens more control over their personal data. A security analyst may be asked to identify and document areas where an organization is out of compliance with GDPR. The second core component is setting guidelines to achieve security goals. For example, when implementing guidelines to achieve GDPR compliance, your organization may need to develop new policies for how to handle data requests from individual users. The third core component of security frameworks is implementing strong security processes. In the case of GDPR, a security analyst working for a social media company may help design procedures to ensure the organization complies with verified user data requests. An example of this type of request is when a user attempts to update or delete their profile information. The last core component of security frameworks is monitoring and communicating results. As an example, you may monitor your organization's internal network and report a potential security issue affecting GDPR to your manager or regulatory compliance officer. Now that we've introduced the 4 core components of security frameworks, let's tie them all together. Frameworks allow analysts to work alongside other members of a security team to document, implement, and use the policies and procedures that have been created. It's essential for an entry-level analyst to understand this process because it directly affects the work they do and how they collaborate with others. Next, we'll discuss security controls. Security controls are safeguards designed to reduce specific security risks. For example, your company may have a guideline that requires all employees to complete a privacy training to reduce the risk of data breaches. As a security analyst, you may use a software tool to automatically assign and track which employees have completed this training. Security frameworks and controls are vital to managing security for all types of organizations and ensuring that everyone is doing their part to maintain a low level of risk. Understanding their purpose and how they are used allows analysts to support an organization's security goals and protect the people it serves. In the following videos, we'll discuss some well-known frameworks and principles that analysts need to be aware of to minimize risk and protect data and users. Hi, welcome back. Previously, we discussed frameworks and controls in general. In this video, you'll learn about specific frameworks and controls that organizations can voluntarily use to minimize risks to their data and to protect users. Let's get started. The CIA triad is a foundational model that helps inform how organizations consider risk when setting up systems and security policies. CIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means that only authorized users can access specific assets or data. For example, strict access controls that define who should and should not have access to data must be put in place to ensure confidential data remains safe. Integrity means the data is correct, authentic, and reliable. To maintain integrity, security professionals can use a form of data protection like encryption to safeguard data from being tampered with. Availability means data is accessible to those who are authorized to access it. Let's define a term that came up during our discussion of the CIA triad: asset. An asset is an item perceived as having value to an organization. And value is determined by the cost associated with the asset in question. For example, an application that stores sensitive data, such as social security numbers or bank accounts, is a valuable asset to an organization. It carries more risk and therefore requires tighter security controls in comparison to a website that shares publicly available news content. As you may remember, earlier in the course, we discussed frameworks and controls in general. Now, we'll discuss a specific framework developed by the US-based National Institute of Standards and Technology. The Cybersecurity Framework, also referred to as the NIST CSF. The NIST Cybersecurity Framework is a voluntary framework that consists of standards, guidelines, and best practices to manage cybersecurity risk. It's important to become familiar with this framework because security teams use it as a baseline to manage short and long-term risk. Managing and mitigating risks and protecting an organization's assets from threat actors are key goals for security professionals. Understanding the different motives a threat actor may have, alongside identifying your organization's most valuable assets, is important. Some of the most dangerous threat actors to consider are disgruntled employees. They are the most dangerous because they often have access to sensitive information and know where to find it. In order to reduce this type of risk, security professionals would use the principle of availability, as well as organizational guidelines based on frameworks to ensure staff members can only access the data they need to perform their jobs. Threat actors originate from all across the globe, and a diverse workforce of security professionals helps organizations identify attackers' intentions. A variety of perspectives can assist organizations in understanding and mitigating the impact of malicious activity. That concludes our introduction to the CIA triad and NIST CSF framework, which are used to develop processes to secure organizations and the people they serve. You may be asked in an interview if you know about security frameworks and principles, or you may be asked to explain how they're used to secure organizational assets. In either case, throughout this program, you'll have multiple opportunities to learn more about them and apply what we've discussed to real-world situations. Coming up, we'll discuss the ethics of security. See you soon.
Hello, my name is Heather, and I'm the Vice President of Security Engineering at Google. PII has been an important topic on the internet since the beginning of the internet, and we've been talking about increasingly sophisticated ways to protect that data over time. When we think about collecting PII on behalf of another person, we should make sure we're very deliberate about how it's handled and where it's stored, and that we understand where it's stored all the time. Depending on what kind of role you're in, you might also need to protect that data to comply with regulation or law. And so it's important to understand how the data relates to some of those obligations. If an organization fails to meet their obligations, a number of things might happen. First, you might see a government regulator become more interested in understanding the practices around how a company is handling data. Secondly, consumers, customers, businesses may actually begin to directly inquire of the company how they're handling data. And this may become part of the customer relationship and increasingly important if that data is very sensitive. And third, the last consequence is legal action. And it's not uncommon for us to see victims of cybersecurity incidents now suing companies for mishandling their data. You can keep up to date with compliance, regulation, and laws around PII by consulting the relevant website in the jurisdiction that you have a question for. Many government websites now post the laws, regulations, and compliance requirements for data that's being handled. The regulations and laws that govern how PII can be handled are very complex. All over the world, countries, states, counties are regulating it at different levels. It's important to understand and to be aware that these laws exist. However, if you need to ask a question about a specific law, it's important to seek advice from legal counsel for that particular jurisdiction. It may be very different than the jurisdiction that you're in.
In security, new technologies present new challenges. For every new security incident or risk, the right or wrong decision isn't always clear. For example, imagine that you're working as an entry-level security analyst and you have received a high-risk alert. You investigate the alert and discover data has been transferred without authorization. You work diligently to identify who made the transfer and discover it is one of your friends from work. What do you do? Ethically, as a security professional, your job is to remain unbiased and maintain security and confidentiality. While it's normal to want to protect a friend, regardless of who the user in question may be, your responsibility and obligation is to adhere to the policies and protocols you've been trained to follow. In many cases, security teams are entrusted with greater access to data and information than other employees. Security professionals must respect that privilege and act ethically at all times. Security ethics are guidelines for making appropriate decisions as a security professional. As another example, if you as an analyst have the ability to grant yourself access to payroll data and can give yourself a raise, just because you have access to do so, does that mean you should? The answer is no. You should never abuse the access you've been granted and entrusted with. Let's discuss ethical principles that may raise questions as you navigate solutions for mitigating risks. These are confidentiality, privacy protections, and laws. Let's begin with the first ethical principle, confidentiality. Earlier, we discussed confidentiality as part of the CIA triad. Now, let's discuss how confidentiality can be applied to ethics. As a security professional, you'll encounter proprietary or private information, such as PII. It's your ethical duty to keep that information confidential and safe. For example, you may want to help out a coworker by providing computer system access outside of properly documented channels. However, this ethical violation can result in serious consequences, including reprimands, the loss of your professional reputation, and legal repercussions for both you and your friend. The second ethical principle to consider is privacy protections. Privacy protection means safeguarding personal information from unauthorized use. For example, imagine you receive a personal email after hours from your manager requesting a colleague's home phone number. Your manager explains that they can't access the employee database at the moment, but they need to discuss an urgent matter with that person. As a security analyst, Your role is to follow the policies and procedures of your company, which in this example state that employee information is stored in a secure database and should never be accessed or shared in any other format. So, accessing and sharing the employee's personal information would be unethical. In situations like this, it can be difficult to know what to do. So the best response is to adhere to the policies and procedures set by your organization. A third important ethical principle we must discuss is the law. Laws are rules that are recognized by a community and enforced by a governing entity. For example, consider a staff member at a hospital who has been trained to handle PII and SPII for compliance. The staff member has files with confidential data that should never be left unsupervised. But the staff member is late for a meeting. Instead of locking the files in a designated area, the files are left on the staff member's desk, unsupervised. Upon the employee's return, the files are missing. The staff member has just violated multiple compliance regulations, and their actions were unethical and illegal since their negligence has likely resulted in the loss of private patient and hospital data. As you enter the security field, remember that technology is constantly evolving, and so are attackers' tactics and techniques. Because of this, security professionals must continue to think critically about how to respond to attacks. Having a strong sense of ethics can guide your decisions to ensure that the proper processes and procedures are followed to mitigate these continually evolving risks.
Hi, I'm Holly, and I'm a cloud security architect with Google Cloud. At the beginning of my adult career, I sold hosiery while I was going to school. That led me into an opportunity to work in banking, which then led me into an opportunity to work in telecommunications. And from there, I managed to get myself into a security vendor and learn security. Part of the way that I was able to change from my original half of my tech career, being a database administrator, to getting into cybersecurity was through getting certificates like you're doing today. Those really helped me gain credibility with potential employers when I didn't have the experience in this particular field yet. Ethics are really the crux of cybersecurity. You need to be able to be ethical in all of your actions in order to be a cybersecurity professional. Examples of unethical behavior are usually, honestly, just slight laziness, people taking shortcuts and not really thinking about the consequences of their actions. So certainly when people share passwords to systems or give out private information or look into systems for their own personal information or purposes for about people they know or about celebrities. One of the most difficult situations that I ever faced in my technology career related to ethics was shortly after 9/11. My boss's boss came to me with a bunch of keywords that were clearly related to the attack in New York, and asked me to query the database that I administered that had everybody's text messages in it for the entire telecommunications company without anything in writing and without a court order. I was in a very uncomfortable position to tell someone that much senior than me that I wasn't comfortable doing that. I suggested that he bring something in writing to me to do that, and he found someone else who did it for him. When you're faced with one of these difficult decisions, it's good to think about what would be the consequences of your decision. My encouragement to those of you out here taking this program is that the rewards that you get from helping to protect your company or your users or your organization from cyber criminals is really great. We get to be the good guys and help protect our industry and our customers from cyber attacks and cyber criminals. And that's rewarding.
You are now better prepared to understand and help make decisions regarding assessing and managing risks. Let's review what we've covered. We discussed security frameworks and controls and how they're used to develop processes and procedures that protect organizations and the people they serve. We also discussed core components of frameworks, such as identifying security goals and establishing guidelines to achieve those goals. Then, we introduced specific frameworks and controls, including the CIA triad and the NIST CSF, and how they are used to manage risk. And finally, we discuss security ethics, including common ethical issues to consider, such as confidentiality, privacy protections, and laws. You're almost there. Only one more section to go in this course. Coming up, you'll learn about common tools and programming languages used by security analysts to protect organizational operations. Hope you're as excited as I am to keep going. Welcome to the final section of this course. Here, we'll be introducing tools and programming languages that are commonly used in the security field. They are essential for monitoring security in an organization because they enhance efficiency by automating tasks. Although we're only introducing these concepts and tools at this point, later in the program, you'll have opportunities to use them in a variety of hands-on activities. In the following videos, you'll learn about security information and event management, or SIM, tools. You'll also be introduced to other tools such as playbooks and network protocol analyzers. Then, you'll learn about the Linux operating system and security-related tasks that are initiated through programming languages such as SQL and Python. For me, SQL is one of the most useful tools. It allows me to explore all the different data sources we collect, and it allows my team to analyze the data for trends. Take your time going through the videos, and if you need to, rewatch them. Also know that these tools will be discussed in much more detail, and you will be able to practice them firsthand later in the certificate program. While every organization has their own set of tools and training materials that you'll learn to use on the job, this program will provide you with foundational knowledge that will help you succeed in the security industry. Let's get started. As mentioned earlier, security is like preparing for a storm. If you identify a leak, the color or shape of the bucket you use to catch the water doesn't matter. What is important is mitigating the risks and threats to your home by using the tools available to you. As an entry-level security analyst, you'll have a lot of tools in your toolkit that you can use to mitigate potential risks. In this video, we'll discuss the primary purposes and functions of some commonly used security tools. And later in the program, you'll have hands-on opportunities to practice using them. Before discussing tools further, let's briefly discuss logs, which are the source of data that the tools we'll cover are designed to organize. A log is a record of events that occur within an organization's systems. Examples of security-related logs include records of employees signing into their computers or accessing web-based services. Logs help security professionals identify vulnerabilities and potential security breaches. The first tools we'll discuss are Security Information and Event Management Tools, or SIM tools. A SIM tool is an application that collects and analyzes log data to monitor critical activities in an organization. The acronym SIEM may be pronounced as SIM or SIEM, but we'll use SIM throughout this program. SIM tools collect real-time or instant information and allow security analysts to identify potential breaches as they happen. Imagine having to read pages and pages of logs to determine if there are any security threats. Depending on the amount of data, it could take hours or days. SIM tools reduce the amount of data an analyst must review by providing alerts for specific types of risks and threats. Next, let's go over examples of commonly used SIM tools, Splunk and Chronicle. Splunk is a data analysis platform, and Splunk Enterprise provides SIM solutions. Splunk Enterprise is a self-hosted tool used to retain, analyze, and search an organization's log data. Another SIM tool is Google's Chronicle. Chronicle is a cloud-native SIM tool that stores security data for search and analysis. Cloud-native means that Chronicle allows for fast delivery of new features. Both of these SIM tools, and SIMs in general, collect data from multiple places, then analyze and filter that data to allow security teams to prevent and quickly react to potential security threats. As a security analyst, you may find yourself using SIM tools to analyze filtered events and patterns, perform incident analysis, or proactively search for threats. Depending on your organization's SIM setup and risk focus, the tools and how they function may differ, but ultimately they are all used to mitigate risk. Other key tools that you will use in your role as a security analyst and that you'll have hands-on opportunities to use later in the program are playbooks and network protocol analyzers. A playbook is a manual that provides details about any operational action, such as how to respond to an incident. Playbooks, which vary from one organization to the next, guide analysts in how to handle a security incident before, during, and after it has occurred. Playbooks can pertain to security or compliance reviews, access management, and many other organizational tasks that require a documented process from beginning to end. Another tool you may use as a security analyst is a network protocol analyzer, also called packet sniffer. A packet sniffer is a tool designed to capture and analyze data traffic within a network. Common network protocol analyzers include TCP dump and Wireshark. As an entry-level analyst, you don't have to be an expert in these tools. As you continue through this certificate program and get more hands-on practice, you'll continuously build your understanding of how to use these tools to identify, assess, and mitigate risks. As we discussed previously, organizations use a variety of tools, such as SIMs, playbooks, and packet sniffers, to better manage, monitor, and analyze security threats. But those aren't the only tools in an analyst's toolkit. Analysts also use programming languages and operating systems to accomplish essential tasks. In this video, we'll introduce you to Python and SQL programming and the Linux operating system, all of which you'll have an opportunity to practice using later in the certificate program. Organizations can use programming to create a specific set of instructions for a computer to execute tasks. Programming allows analysts to complete repetitive tasks and processes with a high degree of accuracy and efficiency. It also helps reduce the risk of human error and can save hours or days compared to performing the work manually. Now that you're aware of what programming languages are used for, let's discuss a specific and related operating system called Linux and two programming languages, SQL and Python. Linux is an open source, or publicly available, operating system. Unlike other operating systems you may be familiar with, for example, Mac OS or Windows, Linux relies on a command line as the primary user interface. Linux itself is not a programming language, but it does allow for the use of text-based commands between the user and the operating system. You'll learn more about Linux later in the program. A common use of Linux for entry-level security analysts is examining logs to better understand what's occurring in a system. For example, you might find yourself using commands to review an error log when investigating uncommonly high network traffic. Next, let's discuss SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL is a programming language used to create, interact with, and request information from a database. A database is an organized collection of information or data. There may be millions of data points in a database. So an entry-level security analyst would use SQL to filter through the data points to retrieve specific information. The last programming language we'll introduce is Python. Security professionals can use Python to perform tasks that are repetitive and time-consuming, and that require a high level of detail and accuracy. As a future analyst, it's important to understand that every organization's toolkit may be somewhat different based on their security needs. The main point is that you're familiar with some industry-standard tools because that will show employers that you have the ability to learn how to use their tools to protect the organization and the people it serves. You're doing great. Later in the course, you'll learn more about Linux and programming languages, and you'll practice using these tools in security-related scenarios. That completes the introduction to security tools and programming languages. In this section of the course, we covered SIM tools such as Splunk and Chronicle. We also discussed how SIM tools are used by security analysts to complete different tasks. Then, we discussed other tools such as playbooks and network protocol analyzers, also called packet sniffers. Finally, we introduced the Linux operating system and the programming languages SQL and Python. Remember, the tools we discuss take time to understand completely, but having a basic understanding of these tools can help you get a job in the security field and progress in your career. Congratulations on completing the first course. We've come so far and covered so much about a really exciting industry. I find cybersecurity to be exciting because it's dynamic. There are always new puzzles to solve, and the work of protecting our users is worthwhile. Before we move on, let's take a moment to celebrate and reflect on what we've covered. First, we introduced core security concepts, including what security is and why it matters. We also discussed what an entry-level security analyst does and some skills related to the role. Then, we transitioned to 8 security domains, which include security and risk management, asset security, and security operations. Next, we highlighted security frameworks and controls, specifically the CIA Triad model and the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. Finally, we explored common tools and programming languages used by security analysts, such as SIMS, playbooks, SQL, and Python. I hope you're proud of the work you've done so far. No matter what direction you take in the security industry, everything you've learned lays the foundation for the next phase of your career. And as you move through this program, you'll have the chance to develop your skills further. In the next course, we'll provide more details about several of the topics introduced in this course.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I will be guiding you through the next course of this certificate program. We'll discuss security domains and business operations in greater detail.
I'm so glad I was able to be here for the beginning of your journey. You're off to a great start. I'm excited for you to reach your goal of joining the security industry.